There'll never be a more screwed up time in Washington.
I'm not sure if I should be laughing at that cheap shot or feeling very awkward based on more recent events. Welcome everyone, I am the Kaiju no Kami, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Kong Skull Island. After the success of Godzilla in 2014, Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures announced they would be creating a cinematic universe revolving around giant monsters known as the MonsterVerse. While Godzilla King of the Monsters would become a direct sequel to Godzilla, the film that followed 2014 was one revolving around King Kong set 40 years prior to Godzilla. This time around, the writers decided against just remaking the same story over yet again and made a movie that took place solely on Skull Island as opposed to bringing the big ape into the modern world. This helped set it apart from its brethren while also attempting something new that hadn't been done for some time. However, is Skull Island a breath of fresh air compared to the numerous retellings of the King Kong story we have seen over and over again? Or is this just another pile of Donkey Kong? Let's watch to find out. Our film kicks off during World War II with opposing pilots crashing onto a mysterious island. They begin to battle each other until they nearly get bitch slapped by a pair of giant furry arms. We then jump to 1973 with a bunch of protests going on in Washington, D.C. for those who are against the Vietnam War. This is where we meet Bill Randa and Houston Brooks, played by the amazing John Goodman and Corey Hawkins. Randa and Brooks are from a secret organization known as Monarch, who apparently hunt down giant monsters. It's also made quite clear that their purpose is seen as nothing more than a joke, so much so that it allows the movie to give us another quick below-the-belt comment.
Monarch ranks right up there with the search for alien life.
Yeah, but those guys are nuts.
Again, should I laugh or cringe? Anyway, it turns out they have discovered a new island in the South Pacific known as Skull Island and are trying to get funding to lead an expedition there. Initially, their request is denied until Brooks says this.
Tomorrow night, the Russian Novsat passes over this sector. They're gonna have the same images we have. Whatever's there, you want us to find it first, right?
That almost makes sense.
If it's one thing American politicians can't stand, it's another country having the bigger dick. Hence Florida. The request is now approved and they are partnered with a group of soldiers who are leaving the abandoned Vietnam War led by the disgruntled Samuel L. Jackson, this time under the guise of one Preston Packard.
We didn't lose the war. We abandoned it.
Additionally, Randa and Brooks hire an ex-British soldier to their team, Tom Hiddleston's James Conrad. Oh, and a journalist named Mason Weaver tags along, portrayed by Brie Larson.
People like you lost us support back home.
You're not actually gonna blame the people without guns for losing the war, are you?
You know, your movie might be kind of rushed if half of your cast is filming it in between Marvel movies. Conrad and Weaver have a scene together after a brief briefing to solidify their relationship to the audience for the rest of the movie.
Why does a geological mapping mission need explosives?
Seismic charges for the geological survey.
You believe that?
I didn't say that.
Soon, Packard's team and our marvelous protagonists take off in a platoon of helicopters to fly through a never-ending hurricane in order to reach Skull Island, where they are greeted by its #1 resident after dropping a bunch of bombs into the ground, who is upgraded from barrels to trees and helicopters. I'm so glad they gave us like 50 pieces of cannon fodder to go with the 12 people that actually matter. Though, I must admit, the imagery in this scene is absolutely gorgeous. Seeing Kong stand before the armada of choppers with the sun behind him is pretty damn awesome. If there is one thing this movie excels at compared to its Godzilla brethren, it is in its visuals and cinematography. Moving on, our survivors are scattered around the island, with half of them reuniting with Packard, while the other half teams up with Loki because they know a god is better than a man.
All that money that they paid you? I hope you're worth it.
Randa and Packard have an expository discussion.
This planet doesn't belong to us. Ancient species owned this earth long before mankind.
On the other side of the island, Brooks talks about his Hollow Earth theory.
That there are these massive underground spaces isolated from the surface world.
Passageways. Run-up believe this island may be one of those.
Thank you, Chinese box office, the prequel. Shortly after, they come face to face with a large deer-like creature. Their travels soon lead them into the company of natives where they meet a World War II survivor, Nova Corps operative Hank Marlowe, played by the highly underrated John C. Reilly.
You are more beautiful than a hot dog and a beer at Wrigley Field on opening day.
This part is a crazy man.
Marlowe proceeds to provide them with his own exposition dump to speed the audience up on what is going on because the runtime isn't long enough to allow the viewers to experience it for themselves.
Thousands of years, the people on this island lived in fear. One day, the damnedest thing happened. Some of the things they were afraid of started protecting them against the things that were eating them.
We come to find out Kong defends the island from a bunch of carnivorous lizard-like creatures Marlowe deems skull crawlers.
I call them skull crawlers. Why? Because it sounds neat.
Okay.
Look, I just made that name up.
I'm fine with the name. Are you all fine with the name?
I'm fine calling them that. Are you cool with it?
Yeah, that seems like
I
that
like
seems
the
like
name,
a
so
great
I
name.
think
I've
you...
never said that name out loud before. It sounds stupid now that I say it.
I think it's a pretty cool name, and I think it sounds good out loud. At the same time, Packer and his team encounter a giant spider-like critter who takes out another batch of nameless soldiers. They kill it before it is able to murder one of the soldiers we actually care about, whose name escapes me right now. Also at the same time as that same time, we get to see one of Packer's loose men, Chapman, washing himself off when Kong emerges from the mountain cliffs. He backs away in fear, only to find Kong more concerned about a giant octopus than himself. In time, Chapman meets his end at the mouth of a skull crawler, though the movie did try hard to make us care about him given we are always seeing him write or talk about returning home to meet his son. Back to our other group, Marlowe takes our gang to a boat he and his Japanese adversary turned friend had been working on to leave the island with before his untimely demise. They all decide to help fix it so they may leave for their rendezvous point with an extraction team in 2 days' time. While this is happening, Weaver heads to get some photos of the glorious environment, only to find an estranged behemoth stuck beneath the rubble of a helicopter. She tries to free it, only for Kong to come along and do so. Please squish her, please squish her, please, 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 please. Aww. The next day, Marlowe and gang depart for the natives and are reunited with Conrad just in time to learn how unhinged Packard has become.
But we're not leaving yet. Still got a man out there, Conrad. Your job is finding lost men, right?
He leads them into a giant ape graveyard.
Yeah, you smell that? That's death.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
At least his death allows for a pretty cool suspense-ridden scene to occur. The skull crawler also regurgitates Chapman's remains. Nick becomes furious at Kong, and with the help of the supplies Chapman was protecting, he sets out to avenge his fallen comrades with the ginormous gorilla's blood.
And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
Conrad, Weaver, and Marlowe set out to stop him, only to find themselves on the dinner menu for the granddaddy of the skull crawlers, but not before Packard meets Kong's fist.
Die, you motherfucker.
You're grounded.
Another soldier does a bang-up job of fighting off the skull crawler, leaving everyone to be rescued by Brooks. Kong acquires a new action feature before entering the climactic battle against the crawler.
Fatality.
I've gotta say, That death scene was just as cool as when Godzilla blew his atomic breath down the throat of one of the Mutos. Afterwards, our remaining heroes meet up with the extraction team and Marlowe is reunited with his family. The end.
Are you crying? Am I crying? No, I'm not crying. You're crying.
But wait! There's more! We have a post-credit scene that shows Weaver and Conrad being given a sneak preview of what the next MonsterVerse film is going to be. And that was Kong Skull Island. You know, I find myself enjoying this movie more and more with each viewing. It's not perfect by any means, but it is easily the best King Kong movie to come out since Toho's adventurous King Kong Escapes. With the exception of Marlowe and Packard, the characters are one-dimensional, so it is hard to care if they live or die. However, they are not bad by any means. You like the ones you are supposed to like and hate the ones you are supposed to despise. Acting-wise, everyone is par for the course. Riley goes above and beyond expectations, Jackson goes over the top, Hiddleston plays everything straight, while Brie Larson is as wooden as you would expect. And John Goodman plays John Goodman. Sure, it would have been nice if they had done something extraordinary with the characters. Nevertheless, at this point, I'm just happy they're not awkward and face-palming bad most of the time. It's also nice to not have any monster genital jokes and the like around. Plot-wise, it's nothing original, yet by keeping the entire tale contained down to Skull Island itself sets it apart from the other movies featuring King Kong, not to mention the 2 Godzilla films. Plus, it makes for a really nice self-contained tale if you are not a fan of the godlike titan. Blasphemy! The best part about this film is hands down its cinematography. Everything is well shot, well lit, and it all looks absolutely gorgeous due to it. As I said earlier, the scene where our characters first encounter Kong is jaw-dropping thanks to that sunrise background. We've got cool shots of the environment being mirrored into people's sunglasses and the like. The battle scene in the graveyard is very atmospheric thanks to the fog surrounding it. All of this is enhanced by moments of suspense and tension that keep you on the edge of your seat, and it is nice to not know how events are going to play out given its standalone nature. It's too bad we didn't get more movies like this from the MonsterVerse before King of the Monsters had come out, as it could have helped King of the Monsters feel special. The designs are equally impressive. You pretty much know what to expect in the design department for Kong, as he's a giant gorilla. You can't detract beyond that without pissing your audience off. Thus, it makes sense to feature other creatures, and what wonderful creatures they were. The giant deer-like water buffalo things were intriguing to see and made me think of something out of Princess Mononoke. However, the highlight easily goes to the design of the skull crawlers, which were based off a monster that appeared in the original 1933 film for about 30 seconds. That was a really neat touch while also giving us something new that appeared to be as dangerous in the look department as they were in action. The film's music was composed by Henry Jackman, who always tends to enhance a film's entertainment value with a great score, and Skull Island is no different. It's whimsical when it needs to be, intense when necessary, and none of it ever sounds out of place. Jackman provides a few really good themes to the titular monster and his adversaries, even if I can't say they are as memorable as classic Godzilla tunes or Jackman's themes for the Winter Soldier and Magneto in his other scores. Nevertheless, the music here is wonderful. Overall, Kong Skull Island is an entertaining, albeit flawed ride. I do feel like the pacing in the beginning of the movie is a little bit messed up, as it feels like they're just rushing through all the introductory scenes, but once they get to the island, it's pretty much smooth sailing from there. It's very enjoyable, and even if the characters are not the best, it is maybe the best of the 3 MonsterVerse films. I'm not sure I'm ready to say that because I still like Godzilla 2014, but possibly. If you have not seen Kong Skull Island, now's the perfect time to do so. Until next time, bye.
We didn't lose the war. We abandoned it.
Doble lebo, lebo, lebo.